Oh, I can see better now. Okay, okay. Guys, grab a cup of coffee, everybody. Just do it, okay? Uh, Oh, that is good. That is good right there. That is good. That's a little Holly Jolly from the Paul Begley Prophecy collection. Check it out. It's at my website, Paul Begley. What? I feel like I'm in the wrong dimension here. I've got an Alabama shirt on, which I'm a Notre Dame fan. But anyway, I got an Alabama shirt on, and I got an LSU hat on. What dimension have I entered into? What dimension? Where am I? No, that just doesn't work. I'm so sorry for all the Alabama people. But then again, I'm so sorry for all the LSU people for taking the hat off. Well, I don't ever know. Nick Saban coached both teams. I don't know. Anyway, the college football season get ready to start, and it's going to be a very interesting year. The number one team is Alabama, but does that mean they're going to win another national championship? That is still yet to be seen. As Coach Edwards used to say, that is why we play the game. Okay, everybody get a roll tide, go Irish. Oh, by the way, speaking of the Irish, why are they coming against the leprechaun? I mean, you talk about the left-wing liberals have nothing else better to do. We got thousands of people stranded in Afghanistan, and we're worried about the leprechaun, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Does that even make sense? Now we're coming against, they're so woke, they're coming against the leprechaun at Notre Dame? What? Unbelievable. Anyway, guys, let me put a shout out real fast. This is an incredible breakthrough at Cern. I want to talk about this because it looks like they are piercing the veil, or at least they're so close, or maybe they have. Wait till you see this. Listen to this, okay? I think they have, and I think that's partly what's going on right now with so much craziness. But anyway, let me put a shout out right now, guys, if you don't mind, for www.solarwaterheater.com. That's right, solarwaterheater.com. I've showed you guys this. This is an incredible product. That's www.solarwaterheater.com. Now, as you can see, there's the thermal energy solar cap that this is, as the sun goes in, as this thermal tube inside, glass tube. It's a thermal glass tube inside this heater. What happens is this. You can open it up like this. So you put the water in there, or coffee or tea, and then you set this out in the sun and open this up to allow the sun to reflect off the mirrors, and you can, tilt it and make it work what's the best effective way so that the sun heats the glass tube. Now, while it's heating the tube, the thermal glass inside, proprietary technology, is very quickly taking the solar energy and converting it into boiling heat. It can boil within 15 to 20 minutes, depends how hot and how powerful the sun is and how good the reflection you have. And then as it heats up, guys, then this one little hole right there, you see it, lets the steam come out like a pressure cooker. And you'll start seeing steam go out, okay? You'll know that you have a boiling water or coffee or whatever it is. Now, if you're out somewhere hiking and you have no way to get clean water, you're just saying, look, and you find some water that, let's boil it. Let's kill off anything that might be in it. This is the best little tool there is. Again, it's www.solarheat.com. That's www.solarheat.com. What a product. Just go there right now and get it right now. www.solarheat.com. One more time. That's www.solar. Did I say heat? See, there I am saying it wrong. It's solarwaterheater.com. Can somebody help keep me straight? It's www.solarwaterheater.com. Matter of fact, the promo code is Paul, and just check it out. It's in the description below. Okay? All right. Let me just tell you what's going on at Cern. What have we learned at Cern? Well, here's what we're learning. Extra dimensions, gravitons, and tiny black holes is what is the reports coming out of Cern. And how dangerous is Cern? Did you know that one dude in 1997 stuck his, in an explosion, a beam come out of the machine and went right through his head? He survived. Half his face is paralyzed, and it changed his personality, and it did some other things, and convulsions, and some other types of seizures and different things. But he survived a beam going through his head of radiation at the speed of light. What? Now, why is gravity? I gotta get some more coffee after that one. It almost destroyed half of one side of his brain. Why is gravity so much weaker than the other fundamental forces? A small fridge magnet is enough to create an electromagnetic force greater than the gravitational pull exerted by planet Earth. One possibility is that we don't feel the full effect of gravity because part of it spreads to extra dimensions. Though it may sound like science fiction, if extra dimensions exist, and we know there is more than 3 dimensions, look at the Bible. The city of the New Jerusalem has 7 foundations, all made of a different gemstone with the names of the apostles on them. Why is there 7 different foundations? I believe it means there's 7 levels. There's 12 different foundations, but I believe it means there's 12 levels of dimensions in heaven. Something to think about. Don't need 12 foundations unless you have 12 different dimensions and levels to experience. When you have that glorified body like Christ, you can enter in and out of through walls. You know you can go in and out of dimensions. Something to think about. Well, anyway, God is huge. And some of the secrets, we're looking through a glass darkly right now. No pun intended with the shades, but I'm just saying. We're looking through a glass darkly, but one day we're going to see the Lord face to face. And then we're going to know even as we're known. So, look, though it may sound like science fiction, if extra dimensions exist, says Cern, they could explain why the universe is expanding faster than expected and why gravity is weaker than the other forces of nature. In our everyday lives, we experience 3 dimensions and a 4th dimension of time. How could there be more? Well, Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity tells us that space can expand, contract, and bend. Now, if one dimension were to contract to a size smaller than an atom, it would be hidden from our view. But if we could look on a small enough scale, that hidden dimension might become visible again. Let me just tell you, imagine a person walking on a tightrope. She can only go forward or backwards. She can't go left or right, side to side, or up and down, for she's on a tightrope. So imagine this person on this. She only sees one dimension, the rope. Ants living on a much smaller scale could move around the cable if they were up on the cable. They could go side to side, they could go up and down, and they could go forward and back. Yet it's still the same dimension. So in what would appear like an extra dimension for the ant, it's still the same tightrope for the person walking. So in other words, we really don't know how many dimensions there are. And so how could we test for extra dimensions? One option would be to find the evidence of particles that can exist only if extra dimensions are real. Theories that suggest extra dimensions predict that in the same way as atoms have a low energy ground state and excited high energy states, there would be heavier versions of standard particles in other dimensions. These heavier versions of particles, called Kazuo-Klein states, would have exactly the same properties as standard particles and so be visible to our detectors. But with a greater mass, if CMS or Atlas were to find Z or W-like particle, the Z and W bosons being carriers of the electroweak force, with a mass 100 times larger, for instance, this might suggest the presence of extra dimensions. Such heavy particles can only be revealed at the high energies reached by Cern. Should we be concerned, or would we burn? Well, some theorists suggest that a particle called the graviton is associated with gravity, in the same way as photons is associated with electromagnetic force. If gravitons exist, it should be possible to create them at Cern, but they would rapidly disappear into extra dimensions. Collisions in particle accelerators always create a balance event, just like fireworks. With particles flying out in all directions, a graviton might escape our detectors, leaving an empty zone that we notice as an imbalance in momentum and energy in the event. We would need to carefully study the properties of missing objects to work out whether it is graviton escaping to another dimension or something else. And this method of searching for missing energy in events is also used to look for dark matter or supersymmetric particles. Now, another way of revealing extra dimensions would be through the production of microscopic black holes. What exactly we would detect would depend on the number of extra dimensions and the mass of black holes, the size of dimensions, and the energy at which the black hole occurs. If micro black holes do appear in the collisions created by Cern, they would disintegrate rapidly in around a blink, literally a blink of an eye. They would decay into standard models or supersymmetric particles, creating events containing an exceptional number of tracks in our detectors, which we would easily spot. Finding more on any of these subjects would open the door to allow us to unknown possibilities to enter into more dimensions. So let me just tell you what Cern is doing. What they are doing, and they have been doing, they've been working on this for a long time. They're trying to figure out how to pierce the veil. They're literally trying to scientifically figure out how to enter in from mortal to immortality, or to enter from this dimension into the next dimensions. Now remember, Apostle Paul in the Bible, and I got to get a cup of coffee because it's starting to get deep in here. What? But the Apostle Paul made it very clear when he said, I know a man above 14 years ago, whether in the spirit or out of the spirit, I don't know. But he entered into a third heaven. He went beyond the heavens that we have here on earth and the heavens around us, what we call the clouds in the sky. He went past that. He went into deep space, which would be called a second heaven. He went past that and went into a third heaven, which is another dimension. And he doesn't know whether, he was talking about himself. He doesn't know whether he was in the flesh, in his body, or out of his body, but he knows he went there. Now, I interviewed Pastor Walt 2-3 years ago, and we actually put that interview on television because Pastor Walt died and went to heaven. And he's not the only person that's ever done this and then come back, as you guys know. There's lots of people who have experienced out-of-body experience, who have died after maybe for 20 minutes or so, and then are brought back. And some people say they're in a tunnel and they see a light at the end of the tunnel and are headed toward the light. Some people say they see all their family members around them and even have conversations with them before coming back. Some people say they see themselves rise above their body and look down and see their body and people working on them. Some people say they went all the way into heaven and saw the pearly gates and saw, heard the beautiful music and saw the angels. And even some have said they saw Jesus Christ. They couldn't make out his face, but everything else, they knew it was him. People have seen angels carrying them before taking them back. Some have heard audible voices while in heaven. Some have heard incredible singing in heaven. But one thing's for sure, Apostle Paul, he experienced an out-of-body experience in the Spirit of God. And he went into another dimension, or he calls it a third heaven. So what we have here is the Bible also talks about a bottomless pit in the book of Revelation. Now, this is another dimension, a darker dimension, demonic dimension, a gateway, a portal into hell, maybe. And there is those who have been constantly trying to reach past the veil into the abyss. People do it with seances. People do it with Ouija boards. People attempt to do this in different satanic rituals. Some try to call the dead back or try to commune with the dead, going through a dark door into an abyss. The Bible talks about this bottomless pit. And an angel comes and opens the door of it, breaks the seal, or pierces the veil. And when this happens, it allows Abaddon or Apollyon to come out of the abyss with black smoke converting, and it looks like black smoke. It's really a dark spirit. And in it is multiple millions of locust-looking creatures that are coming to inflict pain upon humanity. It's from another veil, from a dark side, as Russ Dizdar likes to call it. It's from the dark side. It is to me, and it's found in the book of Revelation, chapter 9, verse 11. The opening, the piercing of the veil, the opening of the bottomless pit, the releasing of McCracken, of Abaddon or Apollyon, which means the destroyer, from the place of destruction. Okay? So having said that, we can see in the Bible now that there are dimensions of light, heavenly dimensions, and dimensions of darkness, or of the world of the damned. Where is Cern trying to go? And the next question is, why? And I don't know how the bottomless pit key gets opened. I just know it does. One of the reasons that I've been working very hard on a presentation that I'm going to be coming out with, Revelation 9:11, is because I truly believe that we are coming to a crossroad. We're coming to a moment, a paradigm shift. I'm not worried as much about the alien thing. Look, I just know that there's demons and angels. There's the spirits and principalities and powers. And yes, I deal with them every day, and so do you on some level or another. And through the blood of Jesus Christ, I have power over all principalities. He said, behold, I give you power to tread over the serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy. I can rebuke Satan in the name of Jesus. He says, I give you power to tread on the serpents and the scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing by any means shall harm you. Nevertheless, don't rejoice that these demon spirits are subject to you, but rather rejoice that your name is written down in glory. This is why this is the salvation station. But I also know there's a paradigm shift coming. A paradigm shift when the gates of hell are opened, when the bottomless pit opens and releases Satan's serum and the dark matter of hell. I don't know how that happens. The Bible says an angel from heaven comes down and opens it. Is it because somebody is turning the key here on earth? Should we be concerned? It's very interesting that Cern is trying to figure out about charged particles, trying to find out about all kinds of different things. Look, they're doing all kinds of experiments, so it's not fair to say they only have one goal in mind, because I don't know what that goal would even be. I think they're trying to discover many things. But, you know, you have to wonder sometimes. We better be careful. We just might get what we're asking for. Give your life to Jesus Christ, because we are obviously in a different time frame than they were 2,000 years ago when they wrote the Bible, especially when John saw this vision in the book of Revelation, because it seems like this is Revelation 9:11. Should we be concerned? Are you concerned? Are you saved? Don't miss tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I will be live with Mike from around the world. This will be a very interesting discussion. I'm going to bring Cern up to him. I'm going to see if we can unlock the door into Mike from around the world's brain.